ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man?
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by the Card Collector Series. Join me, your man, Louie T, on my journey back into the card collecting space with the Card Collector Series on YouTube. Link is in the description. Who else could it be? With me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Divisional Round Weekend, continued coverage of the 2021 NFL playoffs here on the LouieTeeNetwork. What a game. My goodness. That game, and I tweeted this out, was blackout drunk. I mean, this thing had a chance to be 27-3 at the half. Cam Akers fumbles. We'll put a pin in that. You get the Cooper Kupp fumble in the second half. That kind of sparked the Buccaneers, gave them a little bit of life. But still, this Rams defense was all over Brady. You thought the game was over at 27-13. And really, it looked like it was done. Then you get the fumble by Cam Akers. First, you get the deep ball after Jalen Ramsey tells Darius Williams, hey, I got Mike Evans. Don't worry about it. No. You go over there with Scotty Miller. I got Mike Evans. Enough of this shit already. And then Mike beats his ass for about a 50-yard bomb for a touchdown to put the Buccaneers within one score. Then the Cam Akers fumble. And then you get the touchdown after that. It looks like this game's going to overtime. And this is what I wanted to see. And I felt like this game had everything. Everything I needed to see to be able to make the assertion that the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. Now, they got the boogeyman. And I was talking to my barber. You guys know King Coop. And he's a massive Rams fan. And I said, hey, look, the worst part about you winning today, and this is before the game started, I said, if you win, and I picked them to win, and he thought they were going to win as well. I said, you got the boogeyman waiting for you afterwards. I mean, you got to go home to the big, bad boogeyman, the San Francisco 49ers, who you can't beat. And they're going to come into your building. They're going to take over your stadium like they did in Week 18. They're going to make it a road game, and you can't beat them. You've lost to them 6-7 times in a row. So we shared a laugh in that, but all jokes aside, they made this game a lot harder than it needed to be. Obviously, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. 4 fumbles in this game, lost all 4 of them. The Stafford one at the end, you know, they were talking about how, oh my God, Stafford almost gave it away. He was down. His knee was clearly down when the ball finally squirted free. It doesn't matter. He recovered it. But 4 fumbles, lost every single one of them. And any way you could implode, every way that you could implode, the Rams tried it in this game. But the one thing I wanted to see, because I thought in Chris Collinsworth, he doesn't say very many intelligent things these days. A lot of what he says is things that we already know, or they're nonsensical. And you're like, for instance, the Rams have the football with 2:53 left. They run the football, and he's like, oh my God, if they don't get a first down, Brady's going to get it back with the 2-minute warning. I'm like, shut your mouth, you dodo. If they run it twice, they get it down to the 2-minute warning. And then if they run it again, it's going to be a minute and like 16 seconds left when Brady touches it, if they decided to run it 3 times in a row and didn't pick up a first down. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is Chris Collinsworth actually said something intelligent today. And that was, and I felt the same way. He said, I want to see what happens when Matthew Stafford has some game pressure. You know, he had no game pressure against the Arizona Cardinals. They cruised to victory in that game. They've been kicking the Buccaneers' ass all game long, and there's really been no game pressure on him where, and I've talked about this. Have I not talked to you guys about this? I said, in the playoffs, this is why you have to have a quarterback, because at some point, your guy is going to have to make some throws. Whether it's 1 or it's 2 or it's 3, he's going to have to make some throws to win you the football game. And if your guy is incapable, and we saw it with Ryan Tannehill yesterday, if your guy is incapable, you're going home. The Rams went out and got, because Jared Goff, they lose this game. We all know that to be a fact. This is why they went out and got Matthew Stafford for moments exactly like this. Stafford makes the throw to Cooper Kupp. He gets out of bounds, and then Stafford makes the beautiful throw over the top, beats the safety, Winfield Jr., and Kupp shows why the best part of waking up's the Rams. Cooper Kupp is the best receiver in the football league. With that catch, puts him well over 100. I think he was close to 200 yards in this football game. He was destroying the Buccaneers, and that's the exclamation point on what should be. He won't win because he's not a quarterback, but what should be an MVP caliber season for Cooper Kupp, your Triple Crown winner in the NFL at the receiver position, yards, catches, and touchdowns. So Matt Gay comes on, and I was baffled when he missed from 47 short. I'm like, is it windy? Did it get tipped? I mean, kickers in this league don't miss short from 47. Did he have the yips? He used to kick in Tampa. He wasn't very good. That's why he lost his job. Maybe he had a flashback, and that's why the kick ended up short. I don't know. At the end of the day, he made the kick. It squeezed right inside that left upright, but it went in, and the Rams avoid disaster. Had they lost this game, this would have been the talk. Everyone would have forgotten about Aaron Rodgers. This would have been the talk of the weekend, how the Rams pissed away an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. They've constructed this roster. We talked about you can't buy a Super Bowl, but they've handcrafted this thing, okay? The Von Miller trade looks delicious right now. He forced a fumble in this game and recovered it. And they needed that after the Buccaneers had all the momentum. That play by Von Miller was huge, okay? You talk about Odell Beckham. Shame on you if you step to the old dirty Beckham. He's been massive since coming over from Cleveland after the Browns released him. And you think about Green Bay, and you say, that could have been you, Green Bay. All you had to do was stop being cheap and offer the man something more than a league minimum average contract, and he'd probably be with the Packers right now instead of the Rams. But he's been massive for them, obviously. And you look at everything that they've done to build this team into the juggernaut that it's become, and you say to yourself, wow, I mean, they've got everything they need. And yet they almost blew it today. But Stafford, this is why you go out and you spend 2 first-round picks. This is why you spend those picks, right? This is why you give up all that draft capital. This is why you say, to hell with the future. I'm trying to win now. That's why you do it. For moments like this, Matthew Stafford stepped up, and I wanted to see if he could do it. My girl Condo P said, I don't trust Stafford in those types of situations. He ain't going to get it done. And I said, I don't think so. I don't think this is that situation, Condo P. I think he's ready for this opportunity, for this moment. Here it was. He stepped up, and he made the plays. And you know what? This is a conversation for later. I'm going to throw this out there. This game ending the way that it did, and we'll see what happens with the Rams in the future. Do they go on and slay the boogeyman, or does the boogeyman creep up, scare them again, and walk out of there with a dub? We'll see what happens and who represents the NFC in the Super Bowl. However, if the Rams win the Super Bowl, there's a conversation, and we'll come back to this. We'll put a pin in this. But there's a conversation to be had about Matthew Stafford being a future Hall of Famer. That's a real conversation if he wins a Super Bowl. The numbers are there, but he's never played in any meaningful football game, so you couldn't give him that nod. He wins a Super Bowl, the narrative changes. Same thing with Brady. Is this his last game? I think if they win the Super Bowl, he really contemplates going out, riding out on that white horse, and it's over. Now he's pissed off, and he's probably going to come back now. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I don't think Brady's done playing football. But in any event, if you're Tampa Bay, this game to me was so easy to see. I mean, I talked about this on the podcast. I said the biggest concern leaving the wild card weekend was the Buccaneers right tackle position, because you struggled blocking Ryan Kerrigan in the Philadelphia Eagles once you had issues at right tackle. What do you think the Rams with Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, and Von Miller are going to do to your right tackle and the rest of your offensive line positions? What do you think they're going to do when you've got a banged up center and you got a right tackle position that you're not only missing your starter, your backup is on one leg? What do you think they're going to do to that? And they harassed the shit out of Brady today. And Brady went into the game mentally. Before they even dropped Brady once, Brady was already got. They were already in his head. He was already thinking about, I got to get rid of this shit, which is why Brady started like 0-4, 0-5 in the game. His cage was already rattled, and they hadn't even touched him yet, hadn't even laid hands on the man yet. So they had already won the mind game, and then they physically beat Brady up as well to get him off of his spot, make him uncomfortable. And then again, as we mentioned, it wasn't just the offensive line being, mismatched and off kilter because of the injuries. You also have to take into consideration, who's Brady going to get the football to? Mike Evans, Gronk, and then who? Who's going to be that other guy? I said it needed to be Scotty Miller. They discovered Scotty, I felt like, a little too late. They kept trying to force it to Tyler Johnson. Scotty should have been that guy because he proved himself last year, but whatever the case may be. They couldn't get the football to anybody. And so it was a struggle for them all game long. Credit to that Rams defense, even though they gave it up late because all of these turnovers. But credit to that Rams defense. You know, they did the things they needed to do to put the Rams in a position to win this game 41-13. Okay, if not for the 4 fumbles, that's exactly what this score ends up being. But instead, they had to go and win on a walk-off field goal, and now we're 3 for 3 in the walk-off field goal department this weekend. Every single game has ended with a walk-off field goal, and I must say, they're saving the best for last. I don't know how the last game is going to go, but my goodness, the stage has been set, okay? The stage has been set for this game to cap off what was a tremendous divisional round of football, and it more than made up for what was a lackluster super wild card weekend. That is for sure. If you're the Rams, Cam Akers, 2 fumbles, that's a major issue. You don't want to, you don't want to shit on the young kid, right? You don't want to take his confidence and throw it in the garbage, but at the same time, you're like, bro, look, man, after the first fumble, I need him to be cognizant that at the end of the game, it's 2 hands on the rock. 2 hands on the rock, bro. For you to be running through traffic and you just got that 1 hand on the ball as if you haven't already fumbled. And I get the first fumble wasn't a negligent fumble. It's him being physical, getting yards after contact, and the ball just happened to poke free as he was being flipped upside down. But still, he needed to be more focused. At the end of the game, I'm more concerned with you protecting the ball than getting the first down. You'd already broke through the initial wave and the initial line of scrimmage, and you're at the second wave of defenders. At that point, I need you putting 2 hands on the rock. So they got to figure out how to get Cam Akers mentally back, checked in, locked in, and then they got to get him to protect the football because he's a huge part of what they're doing offensively. So the Rams, to me, Matthew Stafford looks like he's dialed in and ready to change the narrative. He was outstanding in this game. He was outstanding last week against Arizona. He looks like he's dialed in and ready to change the narrative and say, hey, I was the number 1 pick in the draft once upon a time, and I'm going to show you exactly why. I've been playing ball in Detroit for all these years. Y'all just haven't noticed because we stunk. It's Detroit. But I'm going to let y'all know something. I'm that guy. And he's looking to prove it. And I tell you what, he's doing a hell of a job of it right now. That drive, that's what legends are made of. That final drive, that game winner. And I remember there was that one year. I want to say that that's the year they lost to Dallas in the playoffs. Might have been Seattle. But there was this one year where Matthew Stafford had all these come from behind victories. They had like 6 or 7 of them in the first like 13 weeks of the season. And the Lions were playing great football. And he's capable, is what I'm trying to tell you. He's fully capable of this. And you saw it in a small sample size in this game. What a finish. The Rams defense, as I just mentioned one more time, those guys were phenomenal. Again, end of the game, it's tough when you've been put in that situation where you feel like you've done enough to win this game comfortably, and yet the offense keeps putting you in these compromising positions. It's tough. They turn it over, and you go right back out on the field. So Von Miller stops the momentum the Buccaneers are building, okay, by forcing a fumble, recovering it. On the very next snap, your center snaps it when your quarterback's not ready. And not only does he do that, he then gives the Buccaneers 30 yards of field position that they didn't have when they first were on the field, right? So now they're already in striking distance. It's just crazy how this defense had to respond time and time and time and time and time again, but they did that. They answered. Just imagine had they not answered the bell, okay? Just imagine if they didn't answer the bell as many times as they did, force field goals, get stops on 4th downs. They lose this game. You could argue if Matt Gay doesn't miss, not Matt Gay, if Ryan Suckup doesn't miss, and they had some issues with the snap because the first kick that he made, that was a high snap. The one that he missed was a high snap. And if he makes that kick, it's funny. They were mocking Bruce Arians for deciding to kick that 3rd field goal that made it 27-6. And that was the right decision because it puts you down by 21 points. And it almost was one of the plays and decisions that ultimately helped them come back and win this game. It's crazy that it came down to what it came down to. But the Rams were the better team. Let's just call it a spade a spade. They were the better team. They deserved to advance. And now, like I've said already, and I'll say it again, the boogeyman awaits. And I don't know what the hell to do in this game because there's a psychological advantage that the 49ers have going into this game. One, knowing that they've beaten this team 6, 7 times in a row, whichever one it is. Also knowing that they're probably going to have their 49er faithful take over that stadium. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump up the street from Santa Clara. They're going to get in their cars, come over, take over the stadium like they did in Week 18, and really force the Rams to feel like they're on the road yet again. Remember, Stafford's wife was complaining about Stafford having to go on a silent count at home, and he's probably going to have to do this shit again. I mean, the 49ers are in a great spot. I said if you are a 49ers fan, you were rooting like hell for the Rams to win that football game. You wanted no parts of going to Tampa Bay. Even though the Buccaneers don't look like, the team that won the Super Bowl last year, and they're not, you still didn't want to go to Tampa. Right? You wanted no parts of that. This is what you wanted. The team that you can beat, the team that you can beat in their building where you can take over their stadium and make it a pseudo home game. This is what you wanted. You can sleep in your own beds all week. You don't have to travel. You don't have to go anywhere. You're right up the street. This is the perfect scenario for the 49ers. But if you're the Rams, you're the better team. Just like you were the better team in this game. You were the better team last week against Arizona. You're the better team against San Francisco. You just got to go out and prove it. You were up 17-0. You know you're good enough, but you can't implode like you did in this game. Wow. The Buccaneers showed a heart of a champion. They never gave up, and some of that is just having 12 on the sidelines. When you got Brady, you never think it's over. And I guarantee you, if they had, Kyler Murray, or if they had Ryan Tannehill, they would have given up. Yeah, you don't think you're coming back. But with Brady, you feel like if we just give him another chance, he's going to bring us back. And he throws the touchdown to Mike Evans, and then you get the situation where, Akers gives it right back. You're like, Brady's going to score. Who didn't think Brady was going to score and tie the game at that point? In my mind, I'm thinking, is Bruce Arians ballsy enough? Is Uncle Bruce ready to roll the dice and go for 2 in the win? Because if this goes to overtime, even though you've got the momentum, you're not better than the Rams. They're the better team. So even if this thing had gone to overtime, I still think the Rams win the game. However, Uncle Bruce kicked the extra point, as he probably should have, and because you had all the momentum at that point. And Stafford makes that drive, and yikes. He just, in one fell swoop, in one drive, Stafford paid for those 2 first-round picks. Now, the work is not done. I should say this. He paid for one of the first-round picks. You win the Super Bowl, and those 2 first-round picks are paid for. They're done. You've paid for them already. He just paid for a first-round pick with his performance in this game in that final drive. Let's get to the comment section, because I know that the football game is on now. So let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. Mr. Ron B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Mr. Ron B. Got another super chat. This one is from Emperor Meach. Thank you for the super chat, Emperor Meach. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Rams are a front-running team. Lemon booty everywhere on that team. My God. That lead in the first saved their asses today, and Cam Akers about to be benched for Sony. Had the Rams, but they deserved to lose. They didn't deserve to lose the game. They tried to lose the game. They were the better team, and they outplayed the Buccaneers in every facet of this game, other than the turnover department. They didn't deserve to lose this game. They deserved to win this game, but they made it a lot harder on themselves than they needed to. They dominated this game. You can't say they deserved to lose, as much as if they had lost, you could see why. You know what I mean? Like, Green Bay deserved to lose yesterday. They didn't dominate that game. Their defense did, but they didn't dominate that game, right? Like, their defense was good enough for them to win that game, but they didn't. They deserved to lose that game. The Rams dominated this game. They were up 20-3 and were 1 yard away from being up 27-3 at half. No, they deserved to win this game, but the Rams tried to throw it away. So I disagree with them deserving to lose, but I don't know if you bench Cam Akers. I don't think you bench him. You hope that this is a teaching tool for him to reinforce, bro, you got to protect the rock. He's too good of a football player to sit down. I think they're going to have to talk to him, and that's what you do with young players. You don't throw them in the incinerator. You don't throw them in the doghouse. That's the old school way of coaching. That's some shit that Tom Coughlin would have done. We wouldn't have seen Cam Akers for the rest of the playoffs. That's the shit Bruce Arians did to Keyshawn Vaughn. Keyshawn Vaughn not as big a part of the Buccaneers offense last year. So you could do that to a young guy. like Keyshawn Vaughn. But when you're talking about a player like this, like if Leonard Fournette fumbled a couple of times, yeah, Bruce Arians would probably sit his ass down because that's that old way of thinking. That's that old man mentality. Sit him down. He sucks. No, take the young fella, sit him aside and say, look, man, we need you. Get your head in the game. You got to protect the football. And that's what they'll do. Sean McVay knows Cam Akers adds a dimension to their team. He's not going to sit him down. Daily Grind. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Daily Grind. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB Rights. Lost $5K on this one. I'm over here in real tears, LOL. I picked the over 40, and Lord have mercy. If the Bucs would have pulled it off, I'd have close to 25K, Lou. I just need a wah from you. Wow. That does produce tears. When you lose, 5 stacks, that produces some tears. I mean, that's rough, but that's how the cookie crumbles. When you get into the gambling game, you know the rules to the game, then play. You know how it is, so that's rough. But you would have been a lot more receiving of this L had it just been what it was. But when it gets close like this and you can taste it, that makes it hurt even more. So that's rough. That's tough. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Charlie G, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Charlie G writes, man, I thought this game was going to be rigged again for Tommy, but Stafford just became a legend. Like I said, at some point, your quarterback in the playoffs is going to have to make some throws. A throw, some throws, a few throws. He's going to have one of these types of moments. And Stafford just had his moment. Now, again, there's work to be done. All right. The finish line was not this game against the Buccaneers. There's still 2 more contests that they need to win in order to hoist that Lombardi. But without that drive, you may not be in a position to be 2 games away and hosting the NFC Championship game. So Stafford, like you said, that was the defining moment of his career to this point. The defining moment of his career. And he's had some moments in his career. Nothing even remotely close to what he just pulled off. And if they win the Super Bowl, like I just said, and we've already put a pin in it. I'm not pulling a pin out right now. If he wins the Super Bowl, there's a discussion now, is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer? And I think that answer starts to skew towards yes. And then remember, he's still writing the final, chapters of his career. He's got a lot of football left in him. So, my goodness. Anyway, let's see. Stephen Combs, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Stafford is legit. Was rooting for him to make that throw. I need that type of QB. Ron and company need to figure out who they want and go get him. That's why they wanted Stafford, because anybody that has been watching this league that knows football knows Matthew Stafford was a hell of a quarterback. He just was in Detroit. Like Calvin Johnson came within like 60 yards of 2000. Cooper Kupp came within, 50 some odd yards of 2000. You don't do that on accident with garbage quarterback play. Okay. You can have a season with random quarterbacks or a garbage quarterback, or a guy that just get hot one year. You can do that with a quarterback 1 year, multiple years of doing this. And Cooper Kupp was awesome this year. And heavens to Megatron was awesome in Detroit that year. You don't get that twice in a career. You know what I mean? But Stafford's that dude. So I'm happy for Matthew Stafford, because the narrative on him is, oh, he's a loser. Got nothing to worry about. And I never felt that way. I just felt like they never put enough around him in Detroit to give him a shot. And now he's got a shot. He's got a really good roster around him, and you're seeing what's going on. And man, has Odell Beckham, shame on you if you step to the old dirty Beckham. Man, has he been a godsend for them or what? If not for him, then everybody's just going to take away Cooper Kupp, because Robert Woods getting injured was like the death blow to that team. It would have been if not for Odell Beckham. He has been the saving grace, honestly speaking. It keeps the defense relatively honest. You can't just key in on Cooper Kupp, because Odell Beckham Jr. can get you still. So, wow. J Mart, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. writes, great game, 10 and counting 2, 22. And we'll see what happens then as well. Take a couple of comments. We them one and done boys, writes, home field disadvantage. All 3 home teams have lost in the postseason, in the divisional round, I should say, excuse me, this weekend to this point. Let's see if the Chiefs can stop the slide, or will the Bills make it a clean sweep of Road Warriors, going out and getting it done. I'm right now 8-1 in the postseason. And I predicted that the Titans would lose, and I predicted that the Bucs would lose. So those weren't surprises. The only surprise to me right now, it was Green Bay not getting it done against the San Francisco 49ers. Rich Richie writes, come on, Lou, this game is over. Let's proceed to tonight's regular scheduled programming. I'm here, man. I'm here and up and running. Metaphor says this game is cray-cray. That game was stupid drunk. I mean, just the turns, the twists, the turns, the ups, the downs. Okay, the Rams got this after Brady failed on 4th down. Okay, the 4th and 9. Okay, this game's over. And then the Bucs get the stop. They get it back to Brady once more. And then he hits. And I told my wife on the possession where they failed on the 4th and 9, I said, they need a quick strike. They're not going to be. I said, the problem is they've been nickel and diming all game. And then when they get in the red zone, they've struggled. They need something quick. Scotty Miller, they need something quick, and they didn't get it. So I thought the game was over. At that point, it's 27-13 with 4 minutes left. Who thought this game would end up being what it was? Brady just failed on 4th and 9. It's 4 minutes left. This game's done. And then they call their timeouts. They get the football back with, they get the football back with like 3 minutes and some change left. Brady hits Mike Evans, and just like that, you're back in the game. The Rams now need to run the clock out, and they run the ball, and you're thinking, okay, they run it this next play. It's going to go down to 2-minute warning. Bucs don't have any more timeouts. And Akers on that run that he fumbled, he either was going to get the first down or he's going to be like a yard short. So they would have been in great. And really, you would have preferred him to be – well, no, you want him to get the first down because the game's over at that point. It runs down to 2-minute warning, and then you take 3 knees and the game's over. So either way, the game was pretty much done. Whether he got the first down or he's just a yard short, you get Stafford to do what he's done really well, quarterback sneak, and it's ball game. And he fumbles the ball, and wow, we got ourselves a ball game. The game was just crazy. Crazy for sure. Rich says, this is a good playoffs, man. Every game this week came from a game-winning field goal. One will for tradition. The next one will for tradition. So we'll see if the next one comes down. I felt like the next game was going to be down to the wire anyway. I think my score for that game was 27-25. Bills were going to lose because their field goal kicker was going to miss an extra point. They were going to have to go for 2 late after scoring a touchdown to potentially tie the game, and they were going to fail on the 2-point conversion. But we'll see what the hell happens, man. Unbelievable. Christopher Hidalgo writes, I'm shocked how wide open Kupp was on the final play. So let's talk about that. I mean, how do you let the best player on the Rams football team offensively get behind your defense in that situation? So I'll tell you how it happened. Essentially, Todd Bowles is one of these coordinators, and I love him. And I ride or die with my guy doing what he does best. I don't want my guy trying to be something he's not. But in moments where he has to have it, Todd Bowles only knows one thing. I'm coming after your ass. And in order to come after you, you've got to be able to make sacrifices defensively. And you're going to have to put some extra strain on specific players when you decide you're going to come after a quarterback. They can't, and there aren't a lot of coordinators that love the slot nickel blitz. Bowles is one of them. And the more exotic, defensive coordinators that blitz, they like the nickel slot blitz. They like the corner cat blitz. They love blitzing because those guys are hard to account for. So when they brought a nickel blitz, they brought the cornerback from the nickel. And what that did was it essentially put the free safety, Antoine Winfield Jr. one-on-one with Cooper Kupp. And I thought Winfield just played it poorly because at that point, I'm bailing. If they want to hit Cooper Kupp over in the middle of the field, on a 25-yard, play, and their kicker already, you got to think about this stuff. Their kicker already missed from 47. So If they hit Cooper Kupp for a gain of 22 and it's, 1st and 10 from the Buccaneers 48-yard line, okay, have it. But what you're not going to do is run right by me. And first of all, remember, the reason Antoine Winfield Jr. wasn't a first-round pick, one of the reasons is because he wasn't a blazer, right? I think he ran like a 4.48 or 4.49, but he wasn't a blazer, which is plenty fast, right? But I think he ran a 4.5 something, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, he was flat-footed. That's what it all boils down to. He's plenty fast. He could have kept up with Cooper Kupp. He thought that Cooper Kupp was going to break the route off. And so he was sitting on it, and he got caught flat-footed, and Cooper Kupp was running full speed and ran right by his ass. And I don't want my safety one-on-one with the best receiver in football with the game on the line. I don't want that. I don't. So, Todd Bowles, if you're going to blitz in that situation, I feel like you don't bring any corners. You keep your safeties over the top. You want to make sure you keep everything in front of you in that situation. But that's Todd Bowles, man. Scared money don't make money. He's always going to roll the dice, and he's always going to err on the side of aggression. He did that, and it cost his team. But at the end of the day, I'm going to side with Todd every single time because the dude is going to blitz. That's what he's going to do. Got a couple of super chats. Derek B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Rams actually had me rooting for TB12. I hate TB12. I can attest to that because obviously I wanted the Packers to win. I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy. I want to see Aaron win another Super Bowl. And I picked the Packers. I wanted to remain perfect. So I'm rooting for the Packers the entire time. Again, limited rooting interest. I'm not over here on the edge of my seat hoping that the Packers find a way to pull it out because I don't care that much. They're not my team. But, I do have a rooting interest in the Packers because of Aaron Rodgers. So I found myself, I told you guys this yesterday, I found myself rooting for the 49ers. And like at some point, you get so pissed off with a team that had a chance to put the other team away. You get so pissed off that this game is where it is. Then you say, you know what? F them. Matter of fact, Tom, you go win the game. And that's how I was yesterday with the 49ers. At that point, when it got to 10-10, I said, you know what? F Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. You know what? Jimmy Garoppolo, go do these boys, man. 49ers go win this goddamn game. And that's exactly what they did. And I was rooting for the shit at the end. At some point, you get fed up. You got all these chances to win the game. You don't take advantage. Now, you know what? And you got me rooting for the enemy. You got me rooting for the other squad. So I kind of feel where you were coming from. I never got those vibes in this game, but I know exactly where you're coming from because I was that way yesterday. Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Matthew, thank you for being a member of the MOBB writes. Lou, this shows why Washington football team needs another big-time weapon. If they had Godwin or AB, maybe different. Bucks ran out of weapons. Draft wide receiver to help Terry. I've said this numerous times. Like, in this league, you can't – it's not good enough to just have one guy or two guys. You need at least 3 viable options at receiver, and you need a viable option at tight end. Like, look at the best offenses in football right now. The Cowboys, they got 87 receivers, and they got 2 solid tight ends, one that really had his way this year in Dalton Schultz, who was just outstanding. And then not to mention the running backs out of the backfield. Look at the Arizona Cardinals. They got weapons galore, but the problem was they lost the one irreplaceable receiver they could ill afford to lose, which was Nuke. He sets it up for everybody. But had that been AJ Green that got hurt, had it been Christian Kirk that got hurt, they would have been just fine because they got so many weapons. Next guy would have just stepped in and they would have been just fine. But they lost the one guy that was irreplaceable, and that's their number one guy. Like the Rams, they could lose Robert Woods because they got Odell Beckham Jr. If they had lost Kupp instead of Robert Woods, their season would have been done. You can't replace Cooper Kupp. You can't replace the number one wide receiver. You can replace the number 2, but you better have another guy to step up. And that's why you need 3 at a minimum, if you ask me. So, and the Bucks, same deal. They had AB, they had Godwin, they had Mike Evans, and then what happens? AB implodes mentally. Godwin gets hurt, and now it's just Gronk and it's just Mike Evans. And at that point, with the offensive line woes and then the lack of weaponry, it caught up with them. It caught up with them, but that's what you have to have in this league. Look at the Bills. The Bills have 77 receivers and a dominant tight end in Dawson Knox. That's the wave of the future. You want to win in this league, you want to win big. Look at Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. They got 3 dynamic receivers, and they got a really solid tight end in CJ Uzomah. That's how you get it done in this league. The days of one receiver running 3 yards in a cloud of dust, play action fake, and let's get it over the top. Like John Gruden tried to do that shit with the Raiders. He tried to replicate what he had with the Bucs with Joey Galloway. I'm going to run it with Josh Jacobs, and then when you fall asleep, I'm going to throw it over the top to Henry Ruggs. Those days are over. That shit is gone, and it's never coming back. You need 3 receivers, you need a tight end, and you need to have not 1 but 2 quality backs. So you're spot on. We need another receiver. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to let y'all get to the game. I know you're probably already watching the game. I need to do the same. So got no more super chats. What a game. We'll probably talk more about this game later on tonight after Bills Chiefs meets its conclusion. But enjoy that game. We'll come back and wrap that one up, put a bow on this one as well, and put a bow on what was a classic divisional round weekend. We'll see if the Bills Chiefs can add to what's already been a ridiculous divisional round weekend. And then we will know the final 4 for championship weekend, and we'll talk about those matchups briefly and take a look at what's on the horizon for the rest of this NFL season. But in any event, you guys know what to do. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and also hit the like button as it helps this channel grow exponentially. Watch the game. We'll chop it up and talk about it thereafter. I think the Chiefs are going to reign supreme here, but the Bills may have other ideas. They may say it's a changing of the guard. I don't think so. I think the Chiefs still run the AFC, and we'll see if that upholds or not. The road teams are 3-0 this weekend. Can the Bills make it 4-0? We shall see. Go enjoy the game. I'll see you afterwards. You guys have a good one. God bless and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.